Good evening. The time is now 7:30 p.m. and I'd like to call to order the January 25th, 2023 Downers Grove Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. If everyone can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We acknowledge that the Downers Grove Public Library sits on the unceded, traditional, and ancestral homelands of Native peoples. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the indigenous peoples who have been caretakers of the land throughout generations, past and present. We invite you to learn more about the genocide and forced displacement by non-Native settlers and the ongoing injustices against Native peoples. Caitlin, can you proceed with roll call?
Yes. Trustee Doherty. Here. Trustee Humphreys.
Here.
Trustee Kuntia. Here. Trustee Nienberg is absent this evening. Trustee Sladak. Here. President Gagnon.
Here. All right. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. Thank you for your interest in the library. Item number 4 is approval of minutes. We have the November 16th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. I have just one. And then on today's agenda, the year needs to be corrected. I just noticed. Just that. And then one minor correction. Page 22, line 4, the word patrons just needs to be changed to patrol.
Spell check does not help you if you make a word.
Thank you.
Yes. That was all I saw.
I will move to approve the November meeting minutes.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Proceed with roll call.
Trustee Doherty.
Yes.
Trustee Humphreys.
Here. Yes.
Trustee Kuntia.
Yes.
Trustee Sladak. Yes. President Gagnon.
Yes. All right, item number 5 is financial matters. First one is November 2022 financial report.
Okay, well, we have our November financial report. It is in the packet. For the November financial report, we are at 91.6% through the year. 104% of revenue was collected at that point, and we were at 86.8% in our expenditures. The capital replacement fund was showing 92% expenditures. However, we have some information about that coming in a minute. You will also notice that for December and January, you will be seeing both the FY 2022 versions and the FY 2023. We have things that come in December that are actually paid in January, and vice versa, things from January that were actually put into the December. So you will see those. However, we do not have December financials to give you, and I will give that to our business office manager, Caitlin, to talk a little bit about our struggles with munis and reporting.
Thank you. Yes, I do apologize that I could not uphold my promise there. So Munis kind of was migrated in 2 parts. Last year we did the accounts payable, accounts receivable section first. That was back in April, and then we just did the payroll and human resources migration. It went live January 1st. So we've been working on, as you heard in our meetings last year, ironing out all of the little challenges and big challenges that have come up on the accounts payable side. Unfortunately, there are still some wrinkles in there. Right now, when I run the December reports, it's not capturing all of our expenditures. It's actually only capturing 1 of 3 payrolls even. So I'm also not able to tell right now if it's capturing all of the invoices we paid in December or only some of them. So I didn't want to give you an incomplete report. You will also notice that the fund balance reports for both November and December are not in the packets. That is something that the village creates for us and sends to me every month. The village financial department is actually short-staffed right now. Their accountant left at the end of the year, and she was the one that facilitated those reports. And so they are doing the best they can to give us everything we need. I was talking to them a lot this week, trying to show what the reports look like and kind of what the information that I needed to provide for you, and just didn't get the time. So as soon as I get that, I will send it out via email so you can at least see where things are at. In that regard. And then Julie did allude to the capital replacement fund. I did want to note that we paid for the elevator modernization out of that fund, and TK Elevator basically charged us twice in a sense. We've been having a lot of issues with the post office not sending all of our checks after they're approved at the meeting. And just a handful of them are returned to us a few days after we send them out with no rhyme or reason as to why. And so when that happens, we try to send them back out or we contact the vendors and so on and so forth. And we have also had many vendors that just never get their checks, and they aren't the checks that are returned, so riddle me that one. But like I said, we are in contact with our vendors whenever this does happen, and TK Elevator was one where we did not receive the check back, but they also didn't receive the check right away, so we reissued a new one and had that first one voided. Well, it turns out somebody had received it there, and so they ended up depositing 2 checks. So we are in contact with them, and the village has spoken to them, and they're in the process of refunding us one of the payments, but it makes the report look a little off, so.
So you do have your invoice lists, but unfortunately, we are unable to provide the expenditures and revenues for December at this time.
Yeah, Caitlin has been working extremely hard. It's been a very uphill battle that obviously has not been ending at all for you. So, but we appreciate everything. I'm sure this has been not an easy transition. So should we table these items?
You can approve the November financial reports and invoices, and then just the January invoices. So November financial report, December and January invoices.
So moved.
Second. Nice and easy. All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Can we proceed with the roll call?
Yes. Trustee Doherty?
Yes.
Trustee Humphries?
Yes.
Trustee Kuntia?
Yes.
Trustee Sladak?
Yes.
President Kagani?
Yes. All right, item number 6 is public comment on agenda items. These are any comments related to items that are on our agenda for this evening's meeting. All right. Item number 7 is public comment on other library business. Do we have individuals interested in speaking tonight? And then also before, you can go ahead and come up and we can maybe just, if you want to line up, individuals want to line up on the side wall. And just a quick reminder before I open the floor that this is your opportunity to address the board. It's not a question and answer session. The library board always welcome comments. There are several additional ways to have your comments heard. You can email the board at libraryboard@dglibrary.org, through the form on our website at dglibrary.org/feedback, by phone, chat, email, and on paper, how do we do forms available in the library. When you are speaking, please state your name for the record, keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and please be respectful to everyone speaking. So, having said that.
My name is Emily Owens. I moved to...
You're missing the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or if you want to stand kind of right between us.
Yes.
I know, it's a little bit.
My name is Emily Owens, and I initially moved to Downers Grove in 1981. I came from a town where there was one library that serviced 4 counties. So when I came to Downers Grove, I was so pleased to have a library for our town. And I love this library. I know it isn't perfect, and part of the reason it isn't perfect is because the world isn't perfect. But I support you and what you're trying to do here. wholeheartedly. I think that everyone here should keep in mind that we need to work together to solve the problems. To attack each other is not productive. Specifically, any discussion of banning books, I find very objectionable. I have to wonder, what is the goal of banning books? Is it to try to control thought? Because that's impossible, and that's not desirable. There are whole genres in this library that I will hold my nose when I walk past, but I will not take away people's right to read those books because they love them. And also, if you start banning books, where do you draw the line? You start with something you don't like, and then maybe it just gets bigger. This is a dangerous thing to start. Plus, if you truly don't want these books to be available, banning books is the worst thing you could possibly do. Banned books are now on the bestseller list. And that's because, oh, it's banned, it must be great. I know with kids, if you tell them you may not do X, they will figure out a way. They will do it. The worst thing you can do is tell them not to do something. They will do it. I also feel very strongly that opposition to your efforts to be inclusive are extremely distasteful. We are a diverse world, and it is wrong to try to change people's perception to marginalize those that don't fit your cookie cutter ideas. And it's a shame that it escalated to the point of threats of violence. It should never get to that point. If you don't want your kid to go, don't send them. Don't give them a ride. Tell them not to go. And you know what? They'll figure out a way to go. And I want to know that we support kids. Kids are our future. We need to let them to be free to explore, to find themselves, not tell them you must be this or that. There's a whole spectrum in between that they need to be free to explore. It's not going to damage them to know that there's something different out there. It's not going to change who they are. Now, the issue of patrons who misbehave, and I don't want to say that it's only people without permanent residence. There are others who misbehave. It's an issue that needs some work, and we support you in your efforts to deal with that. I understand that the police department is aware, and I think that that's an ongoing effort, may need some more tweaking. The main thing I want to say is that we have different opinions, and that's not a bad thing. We don't have to agree. It's not one group winning and another group losing. We have to work together to make it better. Let's not be adversaries. We should all be working for a common good. That's all I have to say.
Eileen Briner, Downers Grove. I'm here tonight to implore the board to stop with the diversity equity planning. Equity means active discrimination of certain people. Merit is not to be a determining factor. It is verboten. Equity means everyone ends up in the same place, to quote Kamala Harris. Do you not see the Marxism in this? Everyone should be at the lowest common denominator. That's the only way to be fair in this ideology. Diversity, achieved by equity, will take us to a place no one wants to be. Who'll be the appointed arbitrators of human value in your plans? Who will decide who is given a special privilege? or a pass on requirements? Who will decide on the equation? How long will the equation be in place before it's reevaluated? This is Marxist. Equality is the only true barometer to be used. Let's look at DEI applied to sports. The football team would have equal white, black, Asian, Latino, and LGBTQ players, regardless of ability. There'd be no rules for practice or requisites for training. The team will be inclusive, but no one on it will be happy because of the lack of discipline or ability to perform and compete. This is what you're proposing for the library. We need leadership to stop following the crazy ideology of DEI. It sounds good, but it's destructive to the core. High-quality service should be the goal and not social engineering. Do you remember the show American Idol? The judges were mostly complimentary to contestants, but Simon Cowell was honest and fair. He treated people equally. If a performance was bad, he told the person that he needed more practice or look for something better suited for him to do. This is how the library should be run, fairly. Everyone should know the rules and requirements. May the best person win the positions. America is the melting pot of the world, or so it used to be. Now, there's an effort to divide us into groups. Everyone gets pigeonholed into a group that's defined and unchanging. This will never end up well. United we stand, divided we fall. Our library is diverse. Take it and treat everyone the same. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats, regardless of size, shape, or color.
Hi there, my name is Laurie Temple, and I've been a library card holder in Downers Grove since we moved here in 1994. And I just wanted to say congratulations to the director and staff and board of our library for all the recent awards and accolades that have been bestowed on our beloved library. It's no surprise to those of us who live here and use this wonderful place regularly, but others recognizing your efforts are, that's always a nice thing. It's been a challenging year, and I want you all to know how much I support and appreciate the things you have done and continue to do, including your efforts with DEI, to ensure that all members of our community are welcomed and treated with respect and kindness in this treasured place. Thank you.
My name is Terry Williams, and I live in Downers Grove. I've been there for about 30 years. And we were talking about the library at our book discussion last time. And we want to make sure that the library knows how much we appreciate the links that especially the interlibrary loan department goes to get us our books. And also the fact that the library has been willing to work with book discussion groups to get books that are, sometimes our books are a little difficult to find. We had some from the 50s that, came from all over the country. And our library loan department got them for us and delivered them in a very timely, miraculously timely effort. And we just want to make sure that you know how much we appreciate that and how much we appreciate the fact that the library, there's no judgment. It doesn't matter what book we ask for. We don't get any looks. It doesn't matter what we're checking out. It doesn't matter what we're returning. And we really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Noel Manley, and I'm the co-chair of the Downers Grove chapter of Wake, Illinois, a peaceful organization dedicated to the education and safety of all children. I see your native land grabs that you continue to ignore my cousins the Potawatomi people who occupied this area prior to Downers Grove founding. But that's just a minor issue. Sadly, as many of you may know, Sacheen Littlefeather died last fall at the age of 75. If you're not familiar with Ms. Littlefeather, she was the young woman Marlon Brando used to issue a statement at the 1973 Academy Awards regarding injustice to Native people. Throughout her life, Ms. Littlefeather maintained that she was an Apache and that she was associated with the White Mountain Apache and Yaqui Nation in Arizona. However, shortly after her death, the New York Times, CNN, the Washington Post, and other news outlets revealed that Ms. Littlefeather was in fact a fraud. Her real name was Marie Louise Cruz, and it was discovered that her ancestry was Mexican, German, and Dutch, no Apache. Now, closer to home, another woman at the University of Wisconsin was exposed for similar fraud. Her name, Kay LeClaire. According to the New York Post, Ms. LeClaire claimed her native ancestry to be Métis, Anishinaabe, and Oneida, when in fact she was none of these. Instead, she leveraged this deceit in order to pass her artwork off as native. Now, the reason why I raise these two women is that both engaged in an egregious form of cultural appropriation. Given this outrageous and racist behavior, as well as the unprecedented level of political activity practiced at this library, I naturally went to the Fists of Rage webpage on the library's website. And what did I find there regarding this diminishment of Native culture? Absolutely nothing. These well-published cultural crimes occurred, and there's nothing but silence from this library. And why is that? That's right. Ms. Cruz and Ms. LeClaire did not fit the biased narrative perpetuated by the library and its staff. So to be clear, your native land grab statement is meaningless, self-serving, and completely ignores the injustices that Native people suffer today. And shame on you. On another matter, I'd like to mention a few names. Jordan Dixon, Ramiro Mendez, Byron McGee, Damani Bass, Derek Burnett, Ruben Oliales, Benjamin Lopez, Leticia Zaragoza, Charmaine Davis, Cavatish Wallace, Cadmine Barney, Dominique Nash, Austin McAllister, Adele Jones, Jacques Kendall, Ulysses Taylor, Jarvis Watts, and 18 other individuals identified as unknown by the Chicago Sun-Times. These are African American and Hispanic people who've been murdered not more than 15 miles from this library in the city of Chicago since January 1st of this year. Again, I went to the Fists of Rage webpage on the Downers Grove Library website and found no reference to any of these young people. Sadly, they don't get a voice in our activist library because, quite frankly, they don't fit the narrative. And I was told by a feckless Downers Grove politician that these matters are crimes, not hate crimes. However, I simply respond by saying that these lives are worth mentioning. And any time a criminal picks up a weapon and points at another human being and pulls the trigger, it is not an act of love. It is an act of hate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Heisel. Thanks for having me. My family and I moved to Downers Grove about a year and a half ago, and we have loved using the library ever since. It's a really welcoming place, and just this evening, my husband wants to read a book at my son's school, and the library went out of their way to find the book for me in Hinsdale so I could pick it up tomorrow. It's just wonderful service, right? Someone answers the phone, they speak to you face to face, and it's just moving from where we live. The other thing I wanted to comment on is that I really applaud you for doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And I think it's important that we sort of step back and think about that because, you know, going on a journey of exploration and seeing what is out there is just that. It is a journey of exploration. It does not mean that it is a list of actions and things we are going to do. And it's important. We need to see where we fit into the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because we live in a diverse world and we are raising children and members of society that are going to leave this town and want to know those things, and it's important. Also, this idea that we hire candidates that are less qualified because we put out a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement is racist. That is the only way to call it. It is a racist statement to think that someone that does not look like you, does not have the same level of education, does not have the same anything, is somehow automatically less qualified. That is the definition of racism. It is not okay. That is not the way we want to be for our children. I applaud you for it. Also, when we bring in people of different backgrounds, that is how we learn. It is not because you have an advanced degree that makes you somehow better. It is that you have different experiences and you bring them to the table, and that makes us richer more than we can read in a book. We hear someone's stories from them. I applaud you for doing it. I don't think it makes everything, fixes everything. It's not a list of what we're going to go up to do tomorrow, but it is just that. It's an exploration and research that you did, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that you've done that on behalf of me as a citizen, member, resident, that is the word I'm looking for, at Downers Grove.
Hello, I'm Dave Deal, and I'm a Downers Grove resident, proud Downers Grove resident since 1997. And I would like to applaud and uplift the Downers Grove Public Library for your embrace of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's the best thing to happen to this town ever. It has been proven time and again, look it up in McKinsey, PwC, or Bain, that any organization, any business that embraces DEI outperforms those that don't. Now, why is that? It's because people of different backgrounds, colors, beliefs, walks of life uplift each other and make each other better thinkers, because they're not all thinking the same way. Now, why is that? Because they are all different. Also, organizations that embrace DEI reflect the diverse nature of our society. Don't know if we've all looked around lately, but this is not a country of 100% white people the last time I checked. So any organization that embraces DEI more accurately and correctly reflects our society. They are more in tune, shall we say, to their customer base. That's why DEI makes us a better organization. Not to mention it's the right thing to do, the right and sensible thing to do. And that includes inclusiveness of the unhoused. I applaud the Downers Grove Public Library for including the unhoused in DEI. I've heard it said that DEI is a Marxist ideology. I heard this interesting point brought up tonight, asking what would happen if athletic organizations actually embraced this kind of Marxist thinking and awarded people based on inclusive values as opposed to merit. Well, with Black History Month coming up, I think now might be a good time to invite everyone to visit the Downers Grove Public Library and look up 2 words in answer to that question. Jackie Robinson. Thank you.
And since I'm different than all of you, I hope that you can embrace what I have to say and include me on this. So my name is Tina Chan. This library board has spent $86,000 to hire Rashada Graham from Washington to spend a week interviewing library staff to come up with a book report called Equity Strategic Plan, which, let me remind you, was 40 hours of interviews costing $86,000, equates to about $2,150 per hour. Many Downers Grove resident taxpayers who pay for this may not earn $86,000 a year,
let alone $86,000 for a week's worth of work, like interviewing. Now, the library board is going to pay this woman even more for her to implement the plan at the library. A total waste of taxpayer money and time, with a clear goal from the report. Critical race theory needs to be taught, and everyone is racist. It doesn't matter what you have done or what you've said, the study says everybody is racist, especially those of a certain skin color, which in and of itself is a racist perspective that defines racism. You, the library board and staff, are spreading racism to indoctrinate children and adults. Now, why is this library board and staff so laser focused on pushing racism, critical race theory, transgender ideology, and diversity, equity, and inclusion to children? Because when children learn these ideologies, they will become confused, dumber, and more obedient to tyrants and predators, so children can be ruled over. Their teachers become their masters, and the government becomes their god. World Economic Forum, WEF, openly says that those who submitted to the COVID-19 lockdowns will also accept smart cities and social credit scores. Communist ideas like equity, that is, everybody ends up in the same place, will accept digital ID, digital crypto, recurring vaccinations, re-education camps, a police state where unarmed citizens are ruled by an armed cartel, and a one-world government. All are conned into thinking they are a one-world citizen of the New World Order. That's you, Downers Grove Library Board. You know, and dear Library Board, when you promote transgenderism, drag shows, do you know that you're promoting Baphomet? Because Baphomet is both male and female, with a goat's head, horns, breasts of a woman, and a penis of a man, wearing a pentagram necklace. You can go look it up. The Church of Satan worships Baphomet, and you, library board members, promote satanic doctrine through transgender ideology and slave mentality by telling people one race is bad and another race is good. You have no right to promote this satanic propaganda and books about racism to influence how children and adults behave. Don't tell me you're trying to be inclusive by pushing transgender inclusive math, you know, where like 2 + 2 = 5. So on this day, January 25th, 2023, at this library, I request that you remove books about transgender life, remove books about transgender surgery, remove books about diversity, equity, and inclusion, remove books about racism that stem from DEI, remove books about critical race theory, remove books about abortion, remove books that promote anti-God, anti-family, anti-country, anti-freedom, remove books that promote pornographic material, and remove books about sex, remove books that are satanic. And replace all these books with the following. Add books about the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Add books that promote life, family, God, patriotism, and good morals. Add books that promote marriage. Add books that promote growing food, cooking, working hard, how to do things, how to make things, how to fix things. Add books that promote common sense, and add books like the Bible. Your events, media, staff, and library materials should reflect all that I stated. Get rid of RGW Consulting Group of Rashada Graham, Washington. She needs to go. And all of you who support this consultant's work, I believe also needs to go. We will not tolerate your indoctrination of our children and this community.
Hi. That's a hard act to follow.
Not really.
My name's Warner Kian, and I was born in post-World War II Germany. And I really don't speak that well, but that's my issue, and for the people who have to listen to me, I guess that's their issue too. However, my parents went through World War II Germany, and there was silence regarding anti-Semitism and book burning. We came to this country in about 1953. There was silence about Jim Crow, about placing Native Americans on reservations, about taking Japanese Americans and placing them in concentration camps. There was silence about a lot of things. And we've moved into the Downers Grove community about 4 years ago. So we're relatively new. I don't know the history of Downers Grove, but I've used this library quite a lot. I am really happy to come here. What I would love to see is a greater emphasis upon non-European type of literature, because that is the focus many times in terms of what we are talking about. How much do we spend time with Latin America, Asian, Arabic cultures? Those are things that I would like to see. So I'm really proud of this community. In the last meeting and the meetings before that, there were quite a number of loud comments that were made about things that shouldn't be occurring here at the library. Those loud comments are heard by a lot of people. But since I'm relatively new to Downers Grove, my question for everybody here tonight, and the library I think is a great example of that, is how much are we a welcoming community? And for that, I hope there is no silence. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Demink. I've lived in Downers Grove since 1966. So I've seen a lot of changes in the community. I'm not a great speaker, but I definitely, over the years, have become more and more proud of our library and what it means. And I realize what an important institution it is for the whole community. It's an essential part of the community. I think our library is a perfect example of a place that provides, and I would say, a neutral third space. Besides your residence and your workplace, the library is a third space that's really important for everybody in the community. It provides a place of trust. It also provides a safe place for diverse groups. It doesn't matter who it is, it's a place of safety. It also is a welcoming place. I can attest to that. I came here last weekend with my 4.5-year-old grandson who's from Riverside. I've been to their library, I came to ours. He hadn't been in the room. It was like, wow, it was like the world was opening up for him. It's friendly, it's very accessible. The staff bends over backwards to find whatever's needed, as somebody else mentioned. The previous speaker that was saying, get more books about these topics, you've already got all these books. You're an amazing resource. I was reading online, and there's a good article that I found by a guy named David Morris. It's called The Public Library Manifesto, Why Libraries Matter. And he lists all the important criteria that libraries fulfill for a community. This library does it already. Some of the ones that he mentions, just to highlight them, the library is a community builder. It is a community center for diverse populations. Anybody can come. It's also a community center for the arts. It provides programs, various workshops. You do all that. It's a university for the people. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic class is. You can come here, you can find out whatever information you need on whatever topic, good or bad. You can find it here. It's also really important to mention that the library is a champion of youth. I say champion because they really are. They provide building blocks for children to learn. Even in the playroom here, they learn how to share. They learn how to look up information. They learn how to access things. They learn how to explore their world. And so keep up the good work, because you're already doing a lot of these things. Don't let negative comments swerve you away from what you're doing, because you're such an important cog for the community. And I really appreciate that. Thank you.
We are at our 30-minute limit for public comments, so we'll go ahead and take the last three individuals that are waiting to speak.
Hi, I'm Frank Cody. I'm a resident of Downers Grove for the last 27 years. A retired IT manager, co-chair of EQDG, which stands for Equality Downers Grove. I'm also an avid library customer, and I'm here to support the library. I wanted to start with a quote from Marie Curie. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. And I thought that was appropriate here tonight. For me, I needed to understand why so many people would come here and misrepresent the fine work of the Downers Grove Library. And what I found was a concerted effort to mobilize citizens through lies and fear to get them to do their bidding. Get them to come here and attack this library. This effort was organized by a well-funded network of organizations, and the message they broadcast was fear. Whatever you're afraid of, they have a message that fits. They have a message that's anti-vax, anti-mask, anti-mandate, no matter what the mandate is. Anti-immigrant, anti-black, anti-history, and anti-education. And oh boy, are they anti-everything connected with LGBTQ. They don't even like rainbows. They're very pro-assault weapon and pro-Marjorie Taylor Greene, though. And all of this is political. The people steering this are the same people that are steering the Republican Party and right-wing groups across the country. We understand political tricks. So what happens if we listen to them? We take them at face value, remove the books that talk about gender issues, that tell stories of LGBTQ people. My gay friend was telling me about a story when he was in his teens. He was desperate, looking for stories by or about people like himself. Anything that would help him understand what was happening to himself. Something that he dared not ask about. He wasn't an adult when this was happening. He was in 7th grade. He knew he was different. These people wish that the whole LGBTQ community would just disappear, but they're not going to. They're my friends and they're my neighbors. They're our neighbors. They're everywhere. They're in every family. And we're not shoving them back into the closet. We're not telling them to hide the people they love. The library is the antidote to Dr. Google and its internet lies. We need the truth now. I have another quote from Amanda Gorman. There's always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. Please be the light.
Well, that really got me what you said about not hiding the people we love. Support that too. Hope you all have a really nice, relaxing holiday. My name's Zoe Ray. I live in Downers Grove. I'm also an organizational psychology practitioner, which means anything to do with organizations and people at work, I study it. So teams, selection processes, how to make those performance reviews actually something you want to do. So I'd like to provide support and validation for the library's investment in DEI and commitment to doing the work of intertwining it in each part of the organization. It's brought up earlier in other meetings that the bill was $86,000. That, the return you will get on that, it's really easy to focus on the bill, but thinking about the return on investment, it will be well worth it. It's a sound financial investment. It's sound socially, culturally, and financially, and that will position the library to continue to reach and obtain its community and financial goals for the long run. Also, I just want to mention that when someone says a system is racist, it's not an accusation towards someone in the, or people in the community. It means you found a process that was lifting up one race over another and wasn't, meeting your needs, and also really horrible. But importantly, it's a great opportunity to take action and change it toward one that is inclusive, equitable, and celebrates diversity, and to bring it in line with the organization's values, not to mention make it more legal. So also, it's been mentioned about the selection processes. Usually with a selection process, maybe your consultant is doing this, you might do a job analysis, and in the job analysis, that's where a person finds where what knowledge, skills, and abilities a person needs in order to do the job. And so I think you had mentioned dropping the master's degree for certain positions, if that's true, or not making that as weighty. And if you found in this job analysis that you don't need that because a candidate could get experience or knowledge from other places, that's a great, good job. And essentially what I'm saying is keep doing the work you're doing. It's challenging and difficult, and sometimes, just keep doing what you're doing. And I've seen you work in DEI in multiple areas, and I applaud it and support you in continuing. And I look forward to also reading more featured books on DEI and participating in future DEI events. And also, I want to raise up, last time there was a meeting, there was an invitation for everyone to stay towards the end. So your wonderful responses to questions. So I just want to invite people to stay to the very end and hear what they have to say, because it's pretty great. So thank you so much for everything you do.
I'll be really brief. My name is Julie Bretthauer. I've lived in Downers Grove since 1991. My husband grew up here and has lived here all his life. We moved here to Downers Grove because we wanted a community that was welcoming. We wanted a community that was inclusive, and we wanted a community that is diverse. And I rise today to say that I support the library and all of your efforts in reflecting those values that we hold very dear. So thank you for all your work. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your comments. We are on to item 8A of our agenda. New business. Item A is Building Operations Department presentation.
Hi. I am going to try not to bore everybody to death. So, my name is Ian Norm, Building Operations Director. I had everything scripted out, but at some point I'm just going to probably ditch this. So Building Operations for the library consists of 3 departments. We're facilities, we are safety, and custodial. I've got 5 members on my team that include Andrew Thing, Danny Barkowiak, Tony Drupke, Kevin Montgomery, and myself. I've been here at the library going on my 6th year. We serve our community, our patrons, and our library staff by providing an environment for hopefully everybody to enjoy. A lot of what we do is behind the scenes. You might see it out on the floor when it comes to things like the light bright or the redoing of the kids cafe. Putting up shelving where it didn't used to be, and all of a sudden one day you come in and your collection has completely moved that you were looking for. We do that. So, we're also here to assist our patrons if they have questions about where something is located, and even our library staff. We try to help out in whatever capacity is needed. So, for me, myself, I oversee all those departments, as I said, but a lot of what I do is on mechanical equipment on the building. So our HVAC equipment, our RTUs, the boilers, exhaust fans, automation systems, lighting controls, stuff that would really bore anybody unless you're into it. I assess useful life of building equipment. I forecast what's going to need capital replacement later on down the road. Vendor contracts, I meet with all the vendors, I negotiate pricing, I do the bidding for projects that need to be done in cooperation with companies like SMC. So our elevator, which is now up and running, that everybody waited weeks for, thank you for all your patience. Hopefully that paid off for you. Projects like that, I go ahead and oversee and work with everybody to get everything done in a timely manner. Our operations monitors, I have seen them, you may even know some of them, Andrew, Danny, and Tony. Again, we're here to make this place comfortable and safe for everybody who comes in, and they do that by enforcing the library's code of conduct, interacting with our patrons and our staff. They monitor the library's surveillance equipment. They patrol the library's interior and exterior multiple times within the hour. They answer patron questions or patron requests. If somebody's got an issue that might be a code of conduct issue, they're the ones that go out and address that. We also work with the Downers Grove Police Department, Fire Department, and also the EMTs. If there's an emergency, or we all of a sudden have a fire alarm that goes off because the pull station was pulled in the kids' room because it's right at little kid level and because it's red and white. They respond to radio requests for assistance. They assist in setting things up like the board meeting tonight because I'm off doing something else and I haven't gotten to it, so they beat me to it. They also help me with special projects that I might have. And like I said, assist in emergency situations. We're on call all the time, so if we get a call in the middle of the night, we're the ones that show up and meet the fire department because we had a false alarm or something like that. Kevin Montgomery is our custodian. He's been here for over 25 years. He maintains all of my inventory. He does it for me. So that way we can make sure that the bathrooms have toilet paper and paper towels and we never run out. He repairs and maintains furniture, book carts. If a piece of shelving is crooked, he beats me to the punch and takes care of that. Also replaces light bulbs throughout the building for me. Helps me upkeep the garden and the grounds. Today's a perfect example, all the snow removal and the ice removal, that was us this morning. Painting, carpet cleaning, dusting, kind of the things that get overlooked. He helps me out with that. So we aren't a huge front-facing department. Like I said, a lot of what we do is in the back of the house that may or may not get noticed, but we are an important part, and we hope that we make everybody's visit here a comfortable one. Thank you.
Ian does work very closely with the Downers Grove Police Department. Lieutenant Roundtree is our liaison lieutenant to DGPD, and he and his guys have very close relationship with DGPD. And we're always working to make sure that we're doing our best to ensure that safe library environment for everyone who comes through our doors, because anyone who walks through our doors is our patron, and everyone is subject to the same behavioral standards. But that doesn't mean we don't have compassion for, the young man who's autistic and having a bad day, and helping that parent through that situation, or someone who calls 911 themselves because they aren't feeling well. And suddenly our guys are trying to figure out who called 911. So there's a wide variety of situations that these guys deal with, and they do it with grace and with compassion. And that is, I think, the number one thing that Ian has brought to our library as our building operations director, is an incredible amount of expertise, but also a really compassionate outlook at how to ensure library safety and security. So thank you, Ian. And on top of that, he also does amazing things like getting all of the lighting in the building upgraded to, like, most of it's LED now, because Ian went out and found those ComEd energy efficiency grants for us to do it ahead of our capital needs replacement plan and at a significant savings. So he does it all.
Yes, some light brights.
He also builds light brights. If you haven't played with it, I highly suggest you try it.
Thanks so much, Ian. All right, item 8B is Libraries Illinois Risk Agency, or LIRA, insurance renewal, and property casualty and workers' compensation.
Yes. All right, so this is the package that we have. Libraries of Illinois Risk Agency is a joint self-insurance pool specific to libraries in Illinois, and it offers a package that is very much tailored to the needs of public libraries. That is the primary members of our pool. This pool was started about 6 years ago. No, 7. Oh goodness. Anyway, I was in my previous position at the Plainfield Library on the initial board to create this pool. When I came to Downers Grove, we were not members of the LIRA Joint Self-Insurance Pool, and that happened within my first year here, and I am back on the board of LIRA. And this is a wonderful opportunity for libraries to enjoy the benefits of insurance pools, which is something that municipalities and park districts and school districts have done for years, and libraries were pretty much late to the game. But now we have in Illinois this joint self-insurance pool. And one of the things that that does is it offers us the potential to have premiums returned to us in years where the pool performs well. So you do have in your packet some more information about LIRA. As a member, we would actually have to give 120 days notice of our intention to leave the pool. So this renewal, should we choose to go a different direction, would actually need 120 days lead time. So as you can see from our renewal, we are actually benefiting quite a bit this year. Instead of going up, our costs for this year are going down by 3.26%. That is primarily on the workers' compensation premium side. That we are changing carriers this year, and that is resulting in a significant savings. There is also some fixed cost savings. You will see that the variable cost for the insurance pool has gone up slightly. Now that is the self-insured retention or loss fund. And that is the percentage that we put into the loss fund to cover any losses up to a certain amount. And anything left in that pool at the end, if several years on, could be returned to us as premium. So if you, yeah, this won't scroll for me, sorry. So if you turn on your, on the packet to page 71, you can kind of get, that's the program structure, so it gives you an idea of how the program works. So over on the right-hand side on the loss fund, that is the amount that we all pool together, that we are, the library members of LIRA are pledging to help keep our premiums down. And then on top of that sits the next levels of insurance. So you can see under the property side, there's a $1,000 deductible, and then the self-insured retention of up to $400,000, and then over that is $600,000 per occurrence that is done by Brit, and then over that is the excess property that is the Chubb is the carrier. So for example, if there were a $1 million loss by a member of the pool, that member would pay their $1,000 deductible. The next $400,000 would come out of the self-insured retention. The next $600,000 would come from that property carrier Brit at that $600,000 per occurrence. And if anything went over that, then it would go to the excess property carrier. What this does is in years that we have very few large claims, there is money left in that loss fund that once we go through 3 years of actuarial studies that say, okay, that year is pretty much closed out, we think there's going to be money left over, then that money can be returned to the members. And that has happened numerous times during the life of this pool. So I did want to bring your attention to that. The property package, the general liability, and the crime coverages are all under that loss fund structure. And then there are also several policies within the package that are considered first dollar. And those are, that's individual coverage per member. So that's your straight up normal, if this library incurs a loss, we pay our deductible, the insurance company covers us specifically, there isn't the pool aspect for those policies. And that includes our volunteer accident, our workers' comp, equipment breakdown, cyber liability, and our crisis protect. So I just thought with a couple of new members that it might be good to kind of review what LIRA is and how it works. So that's the short version. If you ever want to know more, we can always invite Trevor Smith, our broker from LIRA, who would be glad to come out and talk to us all about it. But that's the quick overview of what LIRA is and how it functions. I truly believe that this is a great advantage to our library and to all the public library participants in Illinois. We get better coverage for less money, and it is tailored to exactly our needs.
So we were originally estimated to budget a 20% increase, just because of the state of the economy. So it's really exciting for it to come over down 3% overall. And it also demonstrates why we're very fortunate that you serve on the LIRA board to explain all this.
One of the biggest changes that they made was the cyber liability carrier. And by switching carriers, we say there was a significant savings over what was expected.
This is also a good example of public-private partnerships in solving government issues. because it is backed up by private industry carriers. So it's a nice balance.
So I'm not new to the board, and I had not heard all this explanation. That was very helpful.
I couldn't remember how long it had been since I had last done the spiel.
Oh, wow. I'm curious, how often, when was the last time that we made a claim or that we had to kind of draw on the insurance, either from the, dollar, what was it called,
From the loss fund.
loss fund or the first dollar, even?
Trying to remember. Yes, the roof leak.
Was it
Couple, 3 years ago? Yeah, oh my goodness, it was pre-pandemic, so it's
I know,
longer.
that's before the pandemic.
Pandemic is then.
Yeah, it must have been 2019.
Top 20. Yeah. So 2019.
You're the man.
Yeah,
I'm trying to stay sharp.
I just want to echo this. I've been on the library board, and I guess anybody else up here longer. And I can recall years ago when we would spend 2 or 3 meetings evaluating bids for insurance carriers for the next year. We have a big building here. We have staff. We have a lot of customers. We have property insurance and we have liability insurance. And it's pretty big ticket stuff. When Julie talks about saving 17%, which I believe is 20 minus 3. That's real dollars. That's a lot of real dollars. And I cannot recall prior to this our insurance bill ever going down. We were always scared it would go up a lot and happy that it only went up a little. Big businesses can self-insure all the time. I mean, it's a frequent process, and it saves them a lot of money. Smaller organizations like us create pools which allow us to act like a big business to the insurance industry, and that's what this is all about. And I'm just thrilled that we're doing this. There are financial gains, there are administrative gains, there's better sleep at night gains. So, thank you.
Do you have any questions for Julie about Lyra?
Just have one more comment too, and looking at the breakout here, it looks like the way this is structured, the members are able to be insured by specialists in each of those sectors rather than a general insurance liability policy. So if there is some kind of incident, you're going to get an insurance adjuster out that knows exactly what's going on, which is going to be a lot more efficient than a general policy where they have to keep climbing it up the food chain to figure out what to do.
I'll move to approve the Lyra insurance package renewal in the amount of $58,524.71.
Second.
Oh.
We have first and several seconds. Since this is a financial, let's go ahead and take a roll call.
Trustee Doherty? Yes. Trustee Humphries?
Yes.
Trustee Quintia?
Yes.
Trustee Slida?
Yes.
President Zagami?
Yes. All right, so we're on to item 8C, the bylaws update.
So, we've talked several times about the board updating its bylaws. This is the first section of our policy manual, and it's time to do the entire thing. So, we do this on a regular basis. We review the whole policy manual. We are also going to be using our equity lens. When we review our policies, the equity advisory team will be helping us out with this as we go through our policy manual. But the first section is the bylaws, which is yours as the board. And I'm looking for your direction on the process that you would like to see and how to move forward on this.
So I guess the question is, how do we kind of proceed with this, bylaw, revision process? Do we all work together on this? Do we form an ad hoc committee that kind of pools similarly to, I would say, the director evaluation process, pooling ideas, kind of discussing them and then bringing them back to the board as a whole, a little more refined and organized for the board vote, or does anyone have thoughts on how we want to
What's
go about
worked well
this?
before, since I'm the newbie on this and haven't been through it, what process has worked and how could we build on that?
When's the last time we did it? Was it
We did it over COVID, but at that time, we really just we didn't do a major overhaul. We just kind of looked at little things, and this time, over the past couple of months, I know that we've had a couple of points come up that we've said, yeah, we really need to look at that closer, yeah, we really need to look at that closer, around particularly things like board communications, especially in crisis, and just went out of my head, everything around public comment, obviously, and also just how we do our officers, because that we had changed it to be tied with the changing of the appointment of new folks, and we've really found that that's kind of been a hindrance because our appointments have been kind of staggered.
Yeah.
Again, a little history. I think, in my experience, what has worked fairly well in the past on this, like way back. The bylaws are really the Board of Trustees bylaws. It's the introduction, it's the first part of the policy manual, but really it's the list of rules that the library board follows as opposed to staff and the community. But on the other hand, the staff has a lot of experience at the policy manual, and part of the redoing of the policy manual is cleaning it up a great deal, because it gets amended in little pieces a lot, and you end up with a hodgepodge of styles and verbiage and so forth. So they've been very helpful to us over the past few years at cleaning up the rest of the policy manual, and I think they can be helpful in the bylaws as well. And with their experience, they can find things that, from their perspective, that we don't see. On the other hand, we need to take a very close look as board members and also make suggestions. And I think I would suggest that maybe we get an introduction to it from the staff with some areas highlighted that they suggest and some other areas that they might highlight that they think we need to do. And we'll have similar ideas, but I'd like to have them take a first look, in my opinion. But then we'll follow through on that. Is there a time limit on this?
No. My biggest question is, do you want to do it as a committee of the whole? Do you want to do it as an ad hoc committee? Do you want me to bring you samples to start with? You know,
I think it might have to, it might have to kind of go by what, there's so many different areas of the bylaws and so many things they focus on. I think we have to do it almost in chunks to decide, like specifically, oh, for this chunk, yeah, it should be just an ad hoc committee, yes, we should deal with it as a committee of the whole. I know I need to spend some time refamiliarizing myself with this, so I'd love to see us do that homework and come either to the next, February or March, prepared to at least to then like settle in and say, okay, well, yeah, here's the one that maybe we want to have as a large group, because I don't know if I can answer that question tonight.
You just look at it and come in with things that strike us individually.
And if there are items where we all feel like, oh yeah, we need to have as a board a discussion about this because things have changed, because the members have changed, because whatever, then we can, then that's the bigger group. And if it's more like, oh, these are smaller changes or changes that a couple of members feel really strongly about and have an idea about where to move, then that becomes more of an ad hoc divide and conquer kind of situation.
And I think just kind of
we
piggybacking,
get something from Julie the same way with feedback from staff on what are the hot areas that we really need to look at and what are the priorities as far as when they get done.
Yeah, we don't appoint very many committees, ad hoc committees, but this might be a place where we could, and I think we could either do it now, or we can wait till the staff has highlighted some areas and we get a little more of their perspective on it.
Well, I'd like to maybe see where the staff highlights coincide or don't with the board highlights, because I suspect a few of them are the same, but I suspect that there's some that we've talked about more, and the staff have talked about more, that maybe
May I have your attention, please? The library will be closing in 15 minutes. Please bring the items you wish to check out to the self-checks or the first floor service desk at this time. Again, the library will be closing in 15 minutes. Thank you.
But if we do find out next month, for example, that there are some areas that the ad hoc committee maybe could save some time, everybody, then the president can appoint a committee and just do it in a simple meeting offline.
Sorry, I think you were starting to say
I
something.
was just agreeing with you.
Carry on then.
Should we set some kind of a process for each of us to get a memo to swap note, or Julie, whoever, saying, okay, I took a look at them and, here are my observations, and have that before the next board meeting?
I think that would be a nice place to start, just because I think there are, like, the communications portion we found in, probably the last 6 months is virtually non-existent in terms of guidance. So that's something that I would love to see samples from other libraries, and I've kind of hopped around the internet to see what I can find, and I'm sure Julie could probably go straight there. But, so I think us just kind of at least familiarizing ourselves with the document and kind of seeing where there are holes and taking at least initial notes would be helpful.
So how far in advance of the next meeting then would you want that feedback from us?
Say like a week before, just enough time to kind of just consolidate it and then shoot it back out.
Yes. Generally, the board packets are created on the Thursday before the board meeting is when we're actually putting the meat of it together. And then on Fridays is when Caitlin does that final read through and puts it all together and shoots it out to you. So yes, so that Wednesday would be perfect.
Oh, so our February meeting's
super early.
22nd, okay.
Super early.
So we're looking at like 3 weeks.
6.
Yeah, so the 15th, yeah, would be ideal.
And in the meantime, I can gather some samples so that we have some other things to look at, examples of what other libraries have done and verbiage that they may have that you might like.
Any other thoughts on bylaws? All right, then. We have no unfinished business, correct? Correct. Skip number 9. Okay. Item number 10, library director's report.
Oh, we have a lot going. I want to highlight for sure the 5 stars that the library received from We are absolutely just honored to be named a 5-star library. It reflects the hard work of this board, of our staff, and the wonderful community that supports us and continues to use this library. And we are just absolutely tickled to be a 5-star library, and it is a wonderful honor. And in addition, the Chicago Tribune named Chicagoans of the Year for books was given to library and library workers of Illinois who fight for dignity during a year of challenges.
We're going to have you autograph that.
There's Julie Miller back right there.
So we were,
and a whole big story inside, and a bigger picture of Julie.
we were very honored to be recognized, and some wonderful colleagues were recognized along with me in that article. So just another really wonderful recognition for library workers throughout Chicagoland for the hard work that we have done as a group in a year that has been very challenging for a lot of libraries. So thank you so much. And then our next exciting thing is our strategic planning. We had our kickoff meeting with Rethinking Libraries, our strategic planning consultant, and we are off and running on survey development. That survey will go live at the end of February. The QR code to actually go and do the online survey will be in the Discoveries newsletter for March, April, that will start arriving in homes in that last week of February. So we want to invite and encourage everyone in our community to take that survey and to also keep an eye out, because the other thing that will be in that newsletter will be the strategic planning webpage, where you will find information about focus groups and community forums for you to come and give us your opinions about the library and to work with our consultants directly about what you want, what your vision is for the library. So those will be coming. We are expecting to have the first of those focus groups to be approximately the end of April. So watch for those dates coming. As Ian said, our elevator modernization is done. We got our final certificate of occupancy, so we are good to go. Our workroom renovation project continues apace. If any of the trustees, when the meeting ends, want to go and get a sneak peek, the children's services staff will be moving into their renovated workroom starting on Monday. So we're very excited. So that will be the big, poor Ian. We keep him busy. And that will be the big switch. So we'll be going from phase 1 to phase 2 of this workroom project. So kids, staff will be moving back into their workroom area. Access services will be moving out of their work area and into the meeting room. Part of this is why we are in here and not in the meeting room, because it is now a workroom and will remain a workroom until approximately May 1st. So access services will move in there, and then the demolition will start in access services, and we will be getting rid of the teal cabinetry that has been delaminating for the last 5 years. The laminate is literally coming off the door. So we are really looking forward to giving them a renovated workspace that actually meets today's needs rather than the 1999 needs that was when that space was last renovated. So lots of stuff going on. We have 3 Freedom of Information Act requests so far in January. And then I just want to cover with the board very quickly. We will be submitting our 2023 Illinois Public Library per capita grant application within the next couple of days. That grant is an annual grant from the state library. It is the primary source of state funding for public libraries. It is $1.75 per capita, and for the application process, we do a review of Serving Our Public 4.0 Standards for Illinois Public Libraries, which contains checklists of the standards for public libraries in Illinois, and we compare our progress, how we are doing. And that is the entire grant application. One of the things included in that grant application is reviewing those standards and checklists with the board, which is what we are doing right now. We are very fortunate as a 5-star library. We meet nearly every one of the standards. The things that we do not meet at the moment are primarily around the strategic plan. Because we do not have a current strategic plan, we are going through our strategic planning process. And so there are things like Chapter 1 is the core standards, and one of the basic core standards is your library has a board-approved mission statement, long-range or strategic plan disaster prevention and recovery plan, collection management policy, personnel policy, technology plan, other policies appropriate to the library's operation, and regularly updates and maintains them. So we are regularly updating and maintaining, but we don't have a board-approved plan at the moment. As you all know, we had the plan that was 2017 to 2020 that really was the basis for a lot of our EDI work, a lot of our goals.
May I have your attention, please? The library will be closing in 5 minutes. Please bring the items you wish to check out to the self-checks or the first floor service desk at this time. Again, the library will be closing in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Okay, so as you know, because of the way 2020 went, we wound up extending that into 2021. And we were just getting into the whole selection, the RFP for strategic planning and consulting services. The drag queen bingo controversy kind of delayed that whole process, but we were able to award that contract in November of 2022. So we are moving forward. Another core standard is to review our facilities, collections, and services to make sure that they are meeting the needs of the community. And that is also part of our strategic planning process. So as we finish our strategic plan, and we have those plans before us, then we start to look at our facilities, our collections, and our services, and how we need to change those to meet those strategic plan goals. So that is all part of this wonderful process that we're really excited that we're getting started. I'm a planning geek. I love this stuff. It's a thing. There are also some education and conference attendance standards around, and they encourage the Board of Trustees to also take advantage of training and to attend local, regional, and national conferences. And so we will be making sure that you have that information. I know that a lot of you have taken advantage of the various, especially the virtual trainings that are available through Rails and through United for Libraries. Lots of good training available there. And then the one other area that that we have no control of, that comes up in a number of places around access, building infrastructure and maintenance, and facility management, is parking. It's all about the parking. So anybody who has been in Downers Grove a while, and anyone at this meeting, knows about the parking situation around the library. None of the parking belongs to the library. All of the parking lots belong to the village. So all of these maintenance checklists that talk about how frequently you repave, restripe, the lighting, the number of spaces, none of that is in our control. And that is just a function of the kind of library we are and our situation here in the downtown. And so that's something that we address in here as well. And then the last oddball standard that we don't meet for kind of interesting reasons is in public services, under Readers Advisory Services, there is a standard that says staff members who are responsible for Readers Advisory Services in their library join at least one community organization, club, or council. Now, for us, the reason that this is challenging is that we get all of our staff involved in Readers Advisory. Staff from all levels join in our Readers Advisory. If you've enjoyed any of the things that come up on those staff picks, and they change every month what's on that staff picks display, those can be chosen by a staff member. The January featured staff member is circulation clerk Melissa Troy. And so for us, because we get we have shelvers who do staff picks. And so by doing that, it makes it very difficult to ensure that every single one of those people is involved in a community organization. And so we talk about Readers Advisory and how, in our response to this one, about how the adult and teen services staff and the children's staff, librarians, help those other staff members to curate their staff picks. But because we involve so many staff, that it's
The library is
operationally
now
not
closed.
feasible.
We will reopen tomorrow at 9 a.m. Have a good evening.
Would it be possible to query the staff to voluntarily let you know what organizations they are affiliated with?
Well, and,
No, I mean,
and this is in their professional capacity, and so we would have to pay them for their time and service with those organizations for it to qualify. And so we don't make that a.
It doesn't have to.
Yes, yes, and.
I just wonder if that would be useful information to have, though, just for whatever community outreach we might need to do.
Could be interesting.
Something to
yes.
think about.
Yeah. And I think that was, I have a lot, sorry, I have a lot today. And then there is also a quick, in this month's board packet, I did a monthly count of our PITS incidents from 2018 through 2022. So we started using this software in 2018. We started later in the year. All of the incidents that were tracked on paper up to that point were hand-keyed by our assistant director. And so you've got some information there about that you can look at how the number of incidents have ebbed and flowed over the last 5 years. I did make sure to, and for anyone else, under dglibrary.org/board-members is where all of our board packets are posted. So you can find this information on our website. So I went through and to remember our incidents include everything from, in addition to behavioral incidents, it's everything from a slip and fall in the parking lot to that patron calling 911 because they're not feeling well. So everything is tracked in there. We did shade in gray the months that we were closed to the public or for all or at least partial of a month during the pandemic, just to make sure that those were readily indicated. Because there are a couple of months in there that we had 0 incidents, but we were completely closed to the public. So the first month with 20 or more incidents was actually in December of 2018. The highest number of incidents in a single month was 34 in August of 2022. When we reopened to the public in July of 2020, we had an elevated number of incidents that were directly attributable to the indoor mask mandate in Illinois. And when the indoor mask mandate was lifted in early March of 2022, the number of incidents per month began immediately to decrease before rising again in the summer months of 2022. The average number of incidents during the mask mandate was over 20. The average number since the mask mandate was lifted is 17. Since the mask mandate was lifted, only 2 months have logged 20 or more incidents, and that was June and August of 2022. The lowest number of incidents in a month since the pandemic began, which excludes the months that we were closed, was 5 incidents in September of 2022 and 9 incidents in December. And so far, through today, and we're closing now, so I think this is accurate, we've had 6 incidents in the month of January. So, just so you know where we stand.
Thank you for a nice, helpful snapshot.
You're very transparent since it's all on the website.
Do you want to continue to collect trustee comments and requests for information to before closed session?
right, so because we are, our next item is a closed session, do we have a motion to move the trustee comments before? Okay, a second. All right, all those in favor of moving trustee comments and requests for information to our next agenda item, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed? All right, we will go ahead and move trustee comments and requests for information up to item for our closed session. So you guys hang out while we chat. All right, trustee comments.
I have one.
Okay.
I brought a friend of mine to the library yesterday who works at another library in suburban Cook County. And I had asked if I could please have a tour for him because he was curious about what all was going on here. Had a terrific tour and a very nice time. And he had a couple of reactions. One was that obviously the programs and services and so forth are very similar. He was blown away by the little room where all the book club stuff is kept. He's like, how many book clubs do you have and how do you manage it all? So I would like to add congratulations to the people who are running the book clubs because that impressed another librarian. But more than that, after we spent a couple hours here, and he just kept saying over and over that while the facilities are similar, libraries are doing pretty much the same kind of things. There were two things that stood out for him. One was the comparative progress that we've made on the diversity, equity, inclusion. And the other, which really blew me away, was how warm and welcoming and friendly this library is. And it isn't anything particular that he could point to, although we both met a couple of staff people along the way, because I haven't met anybody yet either. There's something about this library that while it still is an institution in a big box building, has that kind of vibe. And I think that's something some of us kind of take for granted. But seeing that from an outsider who also is a library staff person elsewhere, I was very proud. That comes from staff. That kind of the vibe and the atmosphere is not about the color of the walls and what angle you put the bookshelves at, although I do like the angle of bookshelves. How the traffic flows. It's just about the overall sense that when you come in here, you're in a really nice, warm, welcoming space. And we've just had that put in a very nice way, in an objective observation by my friend. So I just wanted that on the record.
Yeah, I had some things here. First of all, I want to repeat the thank you to all of you who are here visiting tonight and members of our community who are showing an interest in the library and asking questions and making comments. We hear those comments and we appreciate that. Democracy does not work without an active constituents. So we thank you very much for that. I'm not going to comment too much, I don't think tonight on any specifics, and don't think that I didn't hear you, though. One thing that sticks out in my head right now is the direction to please be the light. Remember that. A couple of other quick comments. There's some issues with the Downers Grove Post Office, and I wanted to comment that many other organizations are experiencing those same issues. And I personally have spoken with post office personnel on this issue, and apparently the issues are not with the Downers Grove Post Office, but the processing centers, centralized processing centers. And we're not the only ones that are having issues. And hopefully they're being addressed by the Postal Service.
They lost my mother's ashes last year.
Oh.
That was fun.
A letter which was addressed to me from my church, both in Downers Grove, was returned as undeliverable. And it went through a centralized processing plant. So anyway, the elevator, just to comment on the elevator renovation, somebody asked me, a few weeks ago, why is the elevator broken so long? I want to explain that the library, the elevator is, what, 25 years old?
It was, yeah.
Something like that. And if we didn't renovate it periodically, which takes some time, and everybody suffers during that time when we don't have an elevator, but if we don't do that, it breaks a lot more often on an unscheduled basis. So just understand, it wasn't broken, it was planned renovation. Ian, thank you for your presentation. Ian keeps us safe and also saves us a lot of money. He and his staff do a lot of things that we would have to pay a lot more if we had to contract it out. The per capita grant, I shouldn't put it this way, but somewhere in Julie's presentation, she mentioned that the per capita grant from the state of Illinois is $1.75 per capita. That per capita is the population of our library constituency, which is the village of Downers Grove. A little over $50,000, $1.75 a piece. That's $87,000 that we can get from the state of Illinois. So we go through a little bit of work to inform them that we are meeting their standards, and therefore we get the $87,000. Now that's not a huge amount compared to our total budget, but it certainly helps. And so we appreciate that. The standards, those core standards she refers to, every library board and staff member gets a, well, in the old days at least, it was a CD-ROM. It may be a thumb drive, it may be a website, but it's a
And a hard
lot
copy.
of data. There it is. It tells you which hand to use to unscrew the light bulb. So, and that's all.
I just wanted to say how proud I am to be a board member of a five-star library, and thank you, Julie, and to the staff for providing such excellent service. I am incredibly proud of our equity plan. I'm incredibly proud of the diversity and equity and inclusion that we're doing at this library. You know, I think someone said raising our children for a global world, and that's what it is. We're preparing our kids to go out into the world, and I don't have a lot to say except that I'm honored to be a board member of this library. And for all of you who think us, our job is easy because we have an incredible staff, an incredible library director, and so.
Amen to that.
I had a question and a few comments, and I apologize for not asking this question earlier during the financial matters. I saw that some of our invoices from Klein Thorpe and Jones, our legal consultants, are starting to come in. And I know that was something we were concerned about as all the FOIA requests were coming in, so it's not possible, I know, in this current financial report, but thinking about next time, understanding what that's looking like and how our budget might be impacted or not by the wave of FOIAs that we received toward the end of last year.
And it's running at just about 10,000? What's it? 15 with the latest.
Great, thank you.
Every time you turn around, there's something.
Yeah, I know, and I knew that they were we're catching up with them, so I knew we had to wait a little bit to know.
Yeah, the attorney's bill in arrears.
And so, yeah, I wanted to echo what Bernard said. I mean, obviously, it's amazing that we have a five-star library, and, you know, kudos to Julie and all the staff. It's amazing. Thanks, Ian, for the presentation. For those of you who don't know, we, at board meetings for the last several meetings, almost a year now, we've been getting presentations from different departments throughout the library as a response to both board members wanting to know more about what the staff are doing and kind of what their daily life is like, and also to give some face time to staff who we might not actually see in this room very often. And so I always enjoy hearing from Ian. I have a soft spot for behind the scenes stuff, so it's always, I think that stuff is cool. So, so thank you for that. I also wanted to give a plug for, as Julie mentioned, the strategic planning process that we're kicking off. The gentleman that quoted Marie Curie, understand more, fear less. That was one of the things that stuck with me from today, among other things. We were, as Dave mentioned, we're always listening. That was something that stuck with me as something that I think is going to be really important as we head into the strategic planning process. Several of you, as you stood up, kind of said, "Oh, I'm not a good speaker," and you know, whatever that case may be, that's not important really when it comes to coming here and talking with us, whether it's in front of a group of people or, as Julie mentioned, filling out a form or doing one of these other methods of feedback. You don't have to be a good speaker. You have to tell us your experience and share what your vision for the library is. And I hope that everyone can come and do that and provide us with a sense of where our community feels our library should be and could be in the future. It's great. I think maybe strategically placing the board table by the door kept people from leaving before. But I do.
That's part of the strategic
I know. That's right. Good job. But I do appreciate you all sticking around. I mean, I know this it's a long meeting. And we do appreciate everyone coming and staying to hear what we have to say and all the reports, because those are all the things that happen every meeting, and that not everyone gets to hear. So thank you all, and thank you for sticking around.
And for those of you who said you're not good speakers, you all did just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Carissa stole my one thing. No, I was kidding. I also wanted to congratulate the library on being 5-star, and having been a resident since 2014, it's not really a surprise to me, since I've experienced the library in so many different capacities, from professional workshops and doing stuff online on my own and with my children and everything in between, book clubs, all of it. So no surprise, but very well earned and deserved. And something I mention a lot is the last few pages of the agenda, or the board packet, always lists all the accomplishments that each of the departments have accomplished. And it's really important that people really pay attention to this stuff. I mean, I think there's a general conception that the library is only this or only that, or we're pushing this and we're not paying attention to that, and it's all frankly false. This provides so much information that even I, being as involved as I am in the library, don't know all the time. So, huge amounts of innovative programming and above and beyond service are demonstrated in these department reports. And like Carissa said, the strategic action plan is how we decide how the library moves forward. And all of that information comes from our patrons and from our staff. One of the main things that the previous strategic action plan, the main theme that patrons asked for was DEI. That is why it is the work that we do. It's not because we picked it out of the air and decided it was our job to push anything on anyone. It was asked for by patrons. Another thing that was asked for by patrons was more, cooperative work with other community organizations. And we're excited to have an organization of the month who gets to display their information prominently. It's a very mutually beneficial relationship that we have grown with many different organizations. So again, look for the QR code. Please be a part of what you want the library to be for you and your family.
I forgot to highlight the one thing from the statistical report. We did break 1 million circs again in 2022. That is part of how we become a 5-star library.
All right, so it is time for us to move into closed session. Do we have a motion for our executive session? Give a second. All right, all those in favor of moving into our closed session, say aye. Aye.
Good to see you.
I'm not good at those. When I can call to order, when I can.
A consensus.
Right.
All right, I would like to move to raise Julie's salary by 5% in line with increases for the rest of the library staff. And in addition, the Downers Grove Library Board of Trustees unanimously acknowledges Director Julie Milovich's hard work, leadership, and commitment to the library, the library staff, and the Downers Grove community.
Second.
We're all gonna second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Voice vote for this, because it's wage related or no?
Oh, I mean roll call or?
Yeah. Roll call, sorry,
yes.
okay.
Trustee Doherty?
Yes.
Trustee Humphries?
Yes.
Trustee Guntia?
Yes.
Trustee Slater?
Yes.
President Kagami?
Yes. And then you'll get her.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that part of it. But yes, so like last year, we have written notes around the different areas of performance that we've talked about in the past. I will share those with you. We also have goals that we agreed on, that we talked about, that came out of that discussion. So also share those, and then we can discuss that. If there are discussion points, we can talk about that.
Perfect.
Signature.
Yeah.
All right.
We did that well last year.
Yeah.
Don't spend all that 5% on eggs.
Might need to. All right, and then regarding the employment concern, we did want to make a motion to move forward with a new third-party vendor. We did not feel that our current attorney would be the best choice in the event that there's future litigation. So, yeah, so I guess a motion to move forward.
So I'll make a motion to move forward with the new third-party vendor.
Second.
All those in favor of outsourcing this?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Get it done.
all right. Should we follow up to her tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Send her an email, just let her know. Okay, that's item 12, we did item 13, so item number 14 is adjournment. So I will adjourn this meeting at 10:10 PM.